myself, CT. Great to be with you guys to break down UFC pay-per-view 315. I'm excited for this one. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Excited to be here talking fights. UFC 315 Montreal, isn't it? Isn't it Montreal? Yeah. Montreal, Canada. So they've gone back after 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, they were saying, and they've taken a very solid card to Canada. Yeah, man, like pretty excited. A lot of excitement, especially locally for us. We got Della challenging for the title, which is pretty exciting to see. Yeah, so man, like I'm super excited for this card. What about you?
Think obviously from the main reason, Jack Della,
Yeah,
long awaited man, title
yeah, yeah,
shot.
yeah.
I still can't believe it in a way how quickly he's shot up to get this shot, but he deserves
Yeah,
it.
absolutely, man.
I don't know. For those that are familiar with his most recent setback, DJ,
Yeah,
I don't know how much you know what Jack had to overcome with infection, a botched
yeah, absolutely,
surgery
yeah,
that sort of set him back, what, at least a,
yeah,
a year, right? I don't think he's fought for close for a year now.
absolutely. Not the last time he fought in Miami in that card, and when he fought Gilbert Burns. So yeah, man, like it's been a minute since he fought. He obviously had that. He fractured his arm in that fight. Still won against a top contender in Gilbert Burns. And then yeah, just finished that fight. Obviously had to go get surgery to just put him on the sidelines for a while. It was a longer recovery than expected because of the infection, like you said. Yeah, so now like fast forward all that time, and then he's now back at it, back in the business. But this time, the difference is he's challenging the champion, which is a great opportunity. We've got to wait and see if that rust is going to be a problem. Especially, he's not being in active competition. Again, he's going up against an extremely tough champion in Belal Muhammad. Like, regardless of the opinion you find on the internet regarding him and his fighting style, I think he's like a tough, a fighter, a great MMA mindset, and a deserved champion. Right, he beat Leon Edwards in dominant fashion. Retained the belt. He himself had some setback, to be honest. Let's not forget that. So he was meant to fight Shavkat. Shavkat versus Belal was the December pay per view for last year, but Belal suffered an injury, so he had to pull out, which then resulted in the Ian Gary versus um, Shavkat fight. And now they try to rebook that fight for this card, which was the Belal versus Shavkat fight. Then Shavkat got injured, so they had to sort of out. Obviously, the division has to move on. So yeah, and Jack got the shot in it. Very very exciting circumstances. If you recall, he was meant to actually fight Leon Edwards in the London card that just happened a couple of months ago when eventually, and obviously, he got the opportunity to step up and challenge for the title. And man, who doesn't take that opportunity up? So he made the right call. So he's now challenging for the title. We saw how the Leon obviously got replaced. Leon, sorry, stayed on in the card and ended up fighting Sean Brady, and we know how that fight went. Right, it was like a one-sided domination by Brady. So yeah, man, like welterweight's looking sort of exciting now, like with a lot of new names. Like we got like some big names that were staples of the division, sort of. I wouldn't use the word taking the back step, but more like a changing of guard. Leon Edwards, we saw, two losses in a row, similar fashion, man. And then you got Kamaru Usman, who's been out of activity in that division, and the last time he fought was for the middleweight in the middleweight category. If you remember, he fought Hamza Chimaev, which was a couple of years ago, to be honest. So he's of course fighting Buckley soon. So he's getting back into the picture, but again, Joaquin Buckley is a big name that's in the welterweight division right now. Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, you've got Jack Della, you've got Sean Brady. Yeah, man. Like even though Carlos Prada's lost to Ian Gary, like, let's not forget he's just in the early stages of his career, so he's going to be another a force to be reckoned with in that division. So welterweight sort of having that change of guard moment. So yeah, exciting times, man. And that brings to our main event. Jack Della versus Belal Muhammad. What do you think? What is your take on all this?
Yeah, I guess just echoing off what you said, I think Jack has got this opportunity quite quick. And so there's risks associated with that, DJ. We've seen fighters get a title shot early, but if they
Yeah,
don't happen to take that opportunity and get the belt, then they do fall back down, in terms of next guy up. Um, and so I
yeah,
think, yeah, Jack's always been the aggressor. He has a puncher's chance.
yeah,
To get the stoppage. He's just such a dynamic guy, a striker. Bilal's one of the most well-rounded fighters in the game, and he's a guy
yeah,
that's going to test Jack's skill,
yeah,
all-round game. But I'm excited to see what Jack's been, how well he's been working on his grappling and his takedown defense and all of that. But I really give him a real shot. I give him a real shot. He's probably going to have to win via stoppage, in my opinion.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to know what you feel.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like I think big, like the lights are a lot brighter, right? When you challenge for a title. So he's been under the bright lights. JDM. He's the last time he fought was Gilbert Burns. It was one of those big names. That was the homecoming fight for him. Just as a break into that top five. Exciting fighting style, much loved by the fans all around the world, not just down under. So yeah, man, he's extremely talented. I think if we were to name the top five boxers in the UFC right now, he's definitely up there in that bracket. Um, Crisp striking. We've only really seen him in trouble against that short notice fight that he had to take up in the Apex. I think it was with Arfaze, his name was. Yeah, it would just go extremely short notice fight, and he had stayed there for such a long time. So outside that, we've just seen even the Gilbert Burns fight. He had a very comfortable first round, and I think second round, obviously Gilbert Burns, sort of took that round. Think of it, right? This is a high level fight, though. You're talking about Gilbert Burns, who was a former title challenger, and then to come back and finish him in that third round, and that just shows who JDM is. And man, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think out of this new guard that's coming up, I actually rate him at the top of the heap. My only worry is that sort of ring rust that we spoke about. Coming off of a surgery. Training is great, but you just got to understand that competition is very different. You got someone actively trying to take you out, standing right in front of you, and then you add the bright lights and all the other obligations that surround the title fight. When you look at like the media obligations and everything you got to do, right? So yeah, look, there are some obstacles that he'll have to come across or overcome. Sorry, but he's definitely up for it, man. Like he's got the skill set, he's got the ability, he's got the experience. Let's not forget he's on a 17 fight win streak, and the two losses he had were at the very start of his MMA career. Right, he started his career off with two losses and then just never looked back. He's been this beast who's dominated pretty much every competition and sort of now risen to the point where he's challenging Bilal Muhammad. And then you got Bilal Muhammad on the other hand, like obviously doesn't get the love that he deserves from around the world. And I think it's just because of sort of how he used to fight, if it's fair to say. I think there's been a lot of change in how he approaches the fights and sort of not how he fights, right? Like yes, he's that pressure fighter. That's very similar to sort of he went from sort of a very one-dimensional fighter to now he's sort of like in a similar fighting style to Islam Makhachev, who we all agree is one of the greatest fighters of all time and in the current round number one. I think his striking's got a lot better. We saw what he did to Leon Edwards. We saw what he did to Gilbert Burns off short notice. Let's not forget that, right? He got called up on a week's notice and he came and dominated Gilbert Burns. So, I think Belal shouldn't be written off purely based off sort of like, the what the surrounding circumstances in terms of like the fans not giving him a chance. I think he's an extremely talented champion. It's a tough opponent, right? Um, Having said that, man, like I just something tells me JDM's gonna get it done. I just feel like I'm leaning towards JDM. Like he looks intense. I think there's another thing probably worth mentioning is that we've not seen that side of JDM, if that makes sense. Um, Leading up to a fight, sort of the intensity. There's a little bit of trash talk as well. I understand, this could be that big lights we spoke about. That comes with the championship fight and all the attention that you get. Like, he's usually calm and collected. Like, even the face off today was extremely intense. Um, yeah, but man, I'm leaning towards JDM. I think he's gonna get the job done. I think his striking is too good, especially if I don't buy into it too much. With Belal Mohammed saying he's going to sort of strike with him, and he's not going to even attempt one takedown. I don't believe that. I think it's just he's a champion. Like, he has to make a smart game plan, and man, like, even if your striking is good, like, to stand and strike against someone like Jack Della is going to be, yeah, extremely interesting to see. But having said that, like, remember last time we heard someone say that was Ankalaev against Alex Pereira, who's an accomplished striker, and he did do that. The first 3 rounds, he didn't shoot a takedown, and he had a lot of success. He won the belt. So we got to wait and see if that is definitely something that he will stick to his words. But man, I'm leaning towards JDM. What about you?
Yeah, like I completely understand, man, how you see it, and I think it's very even. It's a very even
Mm,
matchup, and I think, yeah, if Jack's going to be the aggressor, he has
yeah,
every chance to really put Muhammad under a ton of pressure that he hasn't
yeah,
faced really a lot. Like I said, I mentioned Balal being well rounded. However,
yeah,
yeah, Jack has the opportunity to be one of the most exciting champions in the organization because
yeah,
he just comes forward, he takes risks.
yeah,
Does remind me a lot of sort of Sugar Sean in a different division.
yeah,
Reminds me a little bit of Paddy Pimblett, where it's
yeah,
just Hamzat as
yeah,
well. Those guys are prepared to take damage in order to just get through and
yeah,
land that
get,
knockout.
yeah,
I could see, yeah, Jack getting the belt.
yeah,
Now he might have to adjust his style a little bit if he becomes champion. I don't know. That's a good question for you, DJ. Like, let's say
yeah.
Jack won it. Could you see him going on a long title defense, or do you feel like his style is kind of like it's too helter skelter in order to be a long term champion? Is he going to have to round out his game a bit more? You know?
Yeah, the thing with that is that he is not. We have not. We've not had the opportunity to sort of see his all around MMA skill set. I would say. I mean, look, he did submit Randy Brown, so he's extremely accomplished down on the ground as well. So we can. I do feel this fight will go to the mat at some point, and we're going to see that side of Jack come out, right? In terms of him getting the belt and sort of your question about does he have to change his style, I don't think so. Like, he's able to beat Belal Muhammad, who I think will be the toughest when it comes to stylistic matchups. I do feel he's the toughest out of all the names that we mentioned before. So if he's able to overcome Belal Muhammad with right now, I think he surpasses that toughest challenge. And obviously, just keep in mind, these fighters are evolving consistently, right? So obviously, and so is JDM. Like, he's going to continue to evolve in his game too. I think if you look at the styles of like some of these other uh, potential opponents, you got the Ian Garys who mixes it up really well, right? We saw that was a striker to be able to grapple, and then he sort of grapple strike against grapplers. So he's got a good fight IQ. Then you got Shavkat, who's also good. In both areas. I do feel JDM falls in that same category as well. We just haven't had the opportunity to see it fully, and I do believe we will see that this Sunday. Um, yeah, the interesting part to all this is, I guess the only how do I say, like, we all want to watch Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. I think that's just become the new Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. And we know that Islam's made it no secret that he wants to step up and fight for the welterweight title, but there's this grey area. It seems more from Belal's side that he uses some Islam because they're sort of trained together. Well, Islam seems open to, like, if we can work something out, we can. But if JDM wins, we know we get the clarity, right? We get the clarity that Islam will step up, right? Now that sort of throws your question like into deeper waters, if you may, because then you're looking at, in my opinion, like a even more badder version. When I say badder, as in like a more meaner version of Muhammad, who is Islam Makhachev, number one. Then obviously it becomes a whole different ball game, like for JDM to defend that title against him. I guess, yeah, we just got to wait and see. We just got to wait and see. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, Dana all but confirmed. Like, depending on the outcome of this fight, we will announce what the international fight week fight is. So, what do you?
Yeah,
So it's either between Ilya versus Oliveira or Ilya versus Islam, depending on how this turns out. What are your thoughts on that? Which fight do you prefer to watch? Ilya versus Islam or Ilya versus Oliveira?
definitely Islam.
Yeah,
Although I just don't really feel like Topuria would win. You know, I think Topuria's earned his niche in the
yeah,
the featherweight, and yeah, I guess he
yeah,
can't cut weight anymore, so he really wants to feel like he's the king of the light. In my opinion, he
yeah,
hasn't done enough in lightweight. You know,
yeah,
beat
yeah,
beat on a few guys, and yeah, theoretically he should have to beat Charles to fight, but I all
yeah,
want to see Islam.
yeah,
Obviously defend the belt again. And with Islam, yeah, I respect that he doesn't want to give up the belt in
yeah,
lightweight. I
yeah,
respect that he wants to create that legacy where he wants to be the double champ.
yeah. The
You know,
simultaneous
everyone
champ.
wants
Yeah,
everyone wants that. Be
yeah,
the
yeah,
double champ.
yeah.
But I feel like DJ, in my opinion, the biggest jump is lightweight to welter. Like I feel like featherweight to lightweight is not that much of a jump. But I feel like
10
once you
pounds.
get, yeah, if you're a lightweight, I know theoretically the figures, but what I mean is like it's a tougher like jump
Yeah,
in terms of
I
the
get what you mean.
competition,
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
like
get what you mean.
strength
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah. So I
100%.
really feel like Jack is just a savage. Like he'll destroy most lightweights. Like
No,
that's
absolutely, absolutely.
that's the leap I feel. And then welterweight to obviously middleweight is huge. Hamzat proved that.
Yeah, and I think that's just sort of where you draw the line. I think 155 and below would be classed as like the smaller weight classes, and then you got the 170 upwards is the bigger weight classes. They yeah, like, yeah, 165. Yeah, was I think Dana's not a big fan of it. I'm also like not too much for it because I think as it is, we've got some really good. It just splits the two divisions, right? It splits 155 and it splits 170. We got some great fighters in there, and yeah, it does advantage certain people. Like if you go back and think about someone like a what was his name? Uh his, his, his name just slips my mind. He knocked out Gregor Gillespie in that with a spinning kick. Um, Tony Fergie fought Tony Ferguson for the. I gotta find his name now. Like it's such a popular name. It's just slipping my like it's on the tip of my tongue. It's just I just can't recall it. Is it some Lee? Um, uh, he fought for Khabib's promotion as well. Let me see. I'm gonna find him. Don't worry. There he is. Let me see. How this is it's funny how it happens too. At kick, knockout.
Yeah, I mean your
Ah,
history and
Kevin
knowledge.
Lee.
Kevin, that's
Kevin
right.
Lee. Yes, yeah. But
Yeah.
the reason I was he was one of those who could have benefited. Like he was extremely good at 155, but I think he was draining himself to get to that weight, and then he went to 170, and then just the guys. And to your point, right? It's a bigger jump. It's an interesting jump there because the bigger guys who are cutting weight. Whereas 155, then you got to gain that weight, and yeah. Having said that, man, like Islam's a bit different, right? Like he is bigger. That's one, right? And then if there's anyone who can do it, it's Islam Makhachev. I think, to be honest, in my opinion, it gives a lot of trouble to a lot of people in that one 170 division, to be honest, because he's extremely talented, man. Like, he's talented, and his grappling is just second to no one, and his striking is extremely good too. He's so well rounded, the rightful pound for pound number one. I think it's difficult. I can't see. I just think he will easily be able to go in and challenge anyone there. It's just because it's Bilal Muhammad is holding the belt. That's where the gap has been. Yeah, it's just interesting because Ilya vacated his title to jump and challenge for the title, but then yeah, Islam saying he won't vacate it. So in Islam saying Ilya saying he won't fight for anything but a title shot at 155. So we just got to wait and see how this all pans out. I guess from a UFC's point of view, their mindset would be, look, the hassle-free thing is if Bilal wins, we do Ilya versus Islam, no dramas, and then we can revisit this later. Yeah. But it's just a lot of moving. Just like in Dana White's golden words, there's a lot of moving parts.
Is it not better for JDM? JDM gets it, and then basically Islam
Yeah, if
can then
JDM
just
gets
fight.
it,
Yeah, he can fight twice, like quick turnarounds. You can fight for the
yeah.
double champ.
But I think the question will come down to, will Ilya fight for something other than a title, right? And then they might convince him. They could throw some dollars that way, or they could introduce an interim title. Maybe that works. I don't. I think Ilya's tried to sort of replicate the Conor McGregor route, where he just finishes some popular, tough champions in the 45-pound division, and then jumps up and challenges like this bigger. It's a lot bigger than that, though, right? Like when you look at what McGregor did, he went up and fought Eddie Alvarez, who was real good at the time. But when you compare Eddie to Islam, it's just, man, there's a huge gap in terms of sort of who Islam is. Yeah, Islam's pound for pound number one. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I feel like. Do you agree that? I feel like some of these bigger names. They need some more fresh blood. I feel like some
Hmm.
of these bigger names are holding up some of the frequency. I really feel like we're
Yeah,
moving further away from these guys three a year. It's becoming more two a year now, and if that,
yeah, yeah,
some of these guys are
yeah,
waiting 1 year. It's kind of it's
yeah,
stymieing the momentum of the UFC because some
yeah.
guys have left, some guys have sort of moved on. Yeah,
Mm.
Alex is sort of carrying the
The
organization. You got
torch.
a few,
Yeah,
yeah, you got a few dudes like Pimblett. You know,
yeah,
you've got Izzy still around, but you got
yeah,
Pimblett, Sean O'Malley. But I
yeah,
really like it's. I mean, look how quiet it's been over the last like sort of
yeah.
6 months.
I think,
I'm glad Volkanovski's back, but
yeah,
Tapuri is sort of holding things up. I really think, and McGregor not returning, and then I guess the downfall of Mike Chandler so
yeah,
quickly. You
yeah.
look at Gaethje and Poirier about to sort of move into the sunset. Do you
Hmm.
agree that it's like they need some
Look,
fresher blood now?
that, and also activity. I think there's just the frequency of fighting per fighter has gone down significantly, especially the most popular ones. There are exceptions. Alex Pereira's one. Israel Adesanya when he was fighting. Some champions, or even like those popular fighters that take a little bit longer. Various reasons, right? There's medical reasons, then there's sort of like, it's more like becoming a business model now, right? There's commitments outside of just fighting as well, right? And the sports evolve. There's a lot. They're back. I think we probably need a whole episode just to talk about that. But yeah, like I see your point. I see your point. I think with Ilya though, I think he's ready to fight. It's just that there's so much. There's the lack of clarity that's happening. Right? Is what's confusing. I think if Belal, let's just say, had already fought and then there was no option to go up, I think that fight would have been made. I understand from Makachev's camp's point of view, they don't want to just give another 40 chance and say, okay, well, he was expected to beat. They want to fight contenders. I guess, yeah, there's so many things, man. But the one thing we can all agree on is that the biggest loser out of all this is Arman. Where did he go? Like he was set to fight Islam in January, and now people aren't even like, there's no even conversation about what he's going to do next. So the options given to Ilya are like, either you fight Oliveira for an interim or interim. Ilya's saying it's a championship fight. We don't know, right? And then, yeah, there's no talks of Arman, so I think he's just missed out on all of it. which I don't think is fair. Like he had an injury, so what can you do, right? And that's an exciting fight I want to watch. I want to see him fight Islam Makhachev. So, yeah, man, so many moving parts. But look, focusing back on this Sunday, I'm putting my money on JDM. I think it's just gonna, man. He's too powerful. Like we've seen that people have been taken by surprise. Gilbert Burns has come out and said it, like, and you just don't understand how hard this guy hits. Like it just buzzes you, and I think, man, we've seen Belal get dropped before, right? And I think JM, one of those newer age fighters, he's just gonna sort of, I think he's gonna find that opportunity. He's gonna land something pretty solid, and I think he's gonna it's not going to be an easy fight, I'll tell you that. Because Bilal comes from with a lot of experience, right? And I don't buy into him just standing and striking. I think he's going to mix it up. But I'm just putting my money on JDM because that's what you do.
Nice.
He's an extremely great fighter, and then yeah, he's from down under. Of course, we're going to support him. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I gotta agree. I feel like this is his chance, as I said earlier in the pod. Um,
yeah,
you could look at an example like Steve Erceg, how close he got
mm,
to Pantoja in
yeah,
his first title shot, and now he's
yeah,
completely fallen off the
yeah,
face. So it's
yeah,
like you don't know how you got to capitalize basically
yeah,
when the opportunity's there, the momentum, young
yeah,
up and coming. He's just overcome all those setbacks with
yeah,
the infection after the
yeah,
surgery, and yeah, I think he shocks some people and gets the belt. So
yeah.
that'll be
No,
excellent for the
nice.
region. Excellent.
Nice, man. Nice, nice. I like the language you're speaking. Hey, we got Cora Main, right? One of the all-time greats in women's MMA. Valentina Shevchenko fights obviously the champion of the flyweight division. Is taking on Manon Fiorot. I said that name right. She is another surging contender. This is just a long time coming. People were talking about how she's the next big thing. She's the one to dethrone Valentina. But then we all know what happened with the Alexa Grasso situation, and Valentina losing the belt, and the whole trilogy that sort of took place, and that sort of delayed things. And in the meantime, we've just sort of had the opportunity to sort of see more of Manon Fiorot. I think she fought Erin Blanchfield. Is that correct? Yeah. She won that fight, but there were some I wouldn't use the word like shortcomings. It's just more like we just saw a sort of fade as the fight went. Um, Hey, it was just a one-off, but then you got Valentina, who's just keeps this. She keeps the same pace, man, till the end of the fight. I just don't know how she does it, and sort of where she is in her career too. Like, she's accomplished everything. She could walk away now, and she's highly regarded as, I think, tied for the best women's MMA fighter of all time, right? Again, between her and Amanda Nunes, who also sort of completed the game, if you may, who's also teasing a comeback. Yeah, so yeah, we got Valentina, Manon. It's Yeah, I see the fight like where Manon's going to sort of try and keep it on the feet. I think Valentina's going to mix it up in line with what she's done recently. All her recent fights we've seen, sort of she just look. Alexa Grasso is another crisp boxer as well, so she sort of mixed it up and nullified that threat with a lot of grappling in her last two, three fights even. But then with Madame Fiora, I think she's going to do the same thing. I do see Valentina winning. What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think this thing could be 50-50. The experience of Shevchenko, I'm going to lean towards that. But
Hmm.
yeah, this contender sounds very dangerous.
Yep.
Opportunity where you have that fear, where
Yep.
you smell blood. I
Yep.
guess like Tapuria's rise,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of similar to that. But I think
I think.
Shevchenko's still quite at the peak of her game. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Correct. I think she's. Other than that Erin Blanchfield fight, I think she's been pretty dominant. Uh, and I think she's just yeah, like, man, like she's gone um undefeated in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So yeah, uh, let's wait and see, man. Like Sunday, we see what's going to happen. I'm just looking at looking at a career. Yeah, so the last one was Erin Blanchfield, so it was a round 5 decision. That's sort of where we saw like a fade away a little bit. She's beaten Rose Namajunas before that, right? But then in the last 3 years or last 2 years, she's only fought once each year. So activity could play a part. There's no fault of hers as well. Like you got this, the championship trilogy going between Valentina and Grasser, which panned across a couple anyway. But yeah, she's beaten everyone, man. Like it's been decisions so far. I think there's no finishes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're all decisions. But she's been dominant. That's what everyone says, is that she's dominant. So yeah, let's wait and see. Sunday, we shall see on Sunday. Um, who you? Yeah. You said you're picking Valentina as well, right? Like so, we're both
Yeah,
going for the same guys so far, main and co-main, and then we got that king, man, the featherweight, one of the featherweight goats, if you may, the king of Rio, Jose Aldo, coming on, and he's taking on Ayman Sahabi, who is very, very popular in Canada, and local talent, Canadian, but he's also the brother of Firas Sabi, who coached GSP. Yeah, it's just I feel like Ayman Sabi has been in the UFC for a while, but obviously, maybe lack of activity or just he's not probably. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that he's not where he should be or where we would expect him to be, given sort of the family or even the gym that he's coming from, and sort of like, yeah. But man, big name for him to now. These kind of fights is what breaks you into that sort of category where you start putting your name out there. So he's fighting Jose Aldo. Everyone knows Jose Aldo. Let's be honest, man. We tune in to watch Jose Aldo, whoever he fights and whenever, and that's the same with anyone around the world. So you get that stage for you when you fight a legend like Jose Aldo, and then yeah, he's gonna. It's gonna be an interesting fight. Like, I mean, we know how Jose Aldo's last fight went. It was not a fan pleaser. He fought Mario Batista, and for the most part, he was just held against the cage. We know Dana White wasn't happy or thrilled with the fight, more from Batista's point of view. But do you agree though? Like before we sort of pick the winner, like the Jose Aldo has been an interesting one, right? Like I mean, he's a legend, of course, right? He's come back. He's in the Hall of Fame. We thought he was retired. He comes back, looks really good against Jonathan Martinez, and we didn't give him a chance. So I think I recall this very well. You picked him to win. I didn't, because I'm like, ah, man, he's retired. He's switched off. But man, he came and he showed why he's the king of Rio, why he's one of the greatest of all time. So he comes in, he fights and wins, and I was expecting him to get some big names, right? Like there's so many legend fights that you could make, and I just feel like we just didn't see that. He's just let's
Ye-
not forget. Like, he came back in the featherweight. He came back for the 135 pound. Oh no, he came back for the featherweight because he's fighting featherweight now. But I feel like Mario Batista's 135. So there's so many legends there that legend versus legend. Him versus Henry Cejudo. Him versus Dominic. All this could have happened. But yeah, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see that. But let's see. Maybe there's more. Maybe his deal is like an 8-fight deal. So there's more to go before he gets those fights. So we'll have to wait and see.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
what are
was a
your
head
thoughts on that?
scratcher. It
Yeah.
was a head scratcher when he returned, came out of
Hmm.
retirement. But I feel
Yeah.
like where I feel like it's going, DJ, is that
Hmm.
he basically returned, and if he'd lost that return fight, I think he would have called it quits.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
get the win, and it's like, all right, let's just see how far
Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
we can ride with before the
Yeah,
fuel
that
runs
makes sense.
out.
That makes
You
sense, man.
know,
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So who are you picking?
Look, man, I'm not that convinced about Aldo, so I'm going to
Yeah.
go for the upset in this one.
Oh, really?
Zahibi. Yep,
Oh, wow.
he'll have
All
the
right, man.
crowd. I'll go
Yeah. Yeah.
Zahibi
Pull up
in
the
this
crowd.
one.
Yeah, I think it's a tough matchup. Like I said again, like just because Sahabi is not where we expect him to be, it's big shoes to fill, right? When you have a name and when GSP is attached to sort of your when GSP is attached to you in some way, it's just there's so much expectations to carry on your shoulders. So yeah, let that take away from the fact that he is a good fighter. Although that, so having said that, I'm just gonna say, man, I'm gonna go with Aldo this time. I'm taking your advice. You don't bet against you don't bet against the King of Rio. I just feel like Aldo's coming with a
Oh,
lot of a point to prove as well. Like since his last fight, I think more so than to anyone else, to him, like I think he's coming in with a lot of questions. Like, do I still have it in me to, you know, challenge for a title somewhere, or what am I doing this for? I think that's sort of where he's at, and then I think he'll come in here searching for a lot of answers. So he's going to come in, put his best foot
yeah.
forward, and I think I'm gonna lean towards a legend, man. Like, well, yeah, I'm just we're split on this one, but yeah, I'm gonna go Jose Aldo. Um, then we've got Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva, a surging contender against a former title challenger. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was about to say, man, I really feel like for a card, a main event, sorry, a pay-per-view,
Yeah,
they've stacked this with a lot of
yeah,
female talent.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
more so than normal.
yeah.
To have Shevchenko, Grasso,
Hmm.
Andrade all on the same card in three different
Yep.
fights. That's some big names.
Yep.
Silva, obviously, yeah, Grasso Silva. This is one of the most exciting for me, actually. Um,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, I'm with you,
um,
man. Like it's just such an exciting matchup. Great fighters. I think I'm happy that Grass is getting back into it straight away and taking on a contender, like a surging contender, rather than like looking for a big name to sort of. Naturally, you wouldn't blame her, right? Like she beat Valentina Shevchenko. Not many people have done that, and then and then she's sort of like you know lost that last fight. It was a draw in there, and then she lost it. So instead of like wanting another fight or wanting to fight like another big name and just get back into it, like she's just like, oh, well, this contender is who's on fire at the moment. Let me take her on. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep winning, and maybe I'll get back there. So yeah, man, like a pretty good fight. I'm excited for it. Who are you picking? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah, same. Grasso. I think Grasso's extremely good. Like what we saw a lot when she fought Valentina Shevchenko, and to be able to do that to her shows her talent and her skill set. So yeah, 100% I'm with Grasso on this one. She's gonna get the win. And then we've got the main card opener, which has had some changes. Like, obviously, we had to cross out Alvarez because he's no longer fighting. The French and the Spaniard, they're no longer fighting. So it's Benoit Saint Denis is now fighting Kyle Prepolek. Short notice, 1 week's notice call up, I believe. Yeah, man, I think as you look, he's grabbed his opportunity. Main card spot, sat at the press conference as well, sort of, and those are the right things to do, man. I think BSD is coming with a lot to prove, having lost to Renato Moicano in his hometown, so he's gonna sort of want and put a stamp on this fight, and then and sort of win it dominant fashion. Get his name back out there in terms of like sort of the top of the heap of that lightweight division. So he'll be pretty keen to do that. I mean, I was so keen when there was talks. I think when Alvarez dropped out, Mauricio Rufy called him out saying, "Hey, let's fight, but not in this card, like some other time." And then, man, that'll be a crazy fight. Like everyone's on Mauricio Rufy's train at the moment, man. The hype is real. So he's that would have been a crazy fight. I thought, oh, imagine if they make that. This becomes then a crazy pay per view. It's already pretty good, if you ask me. So yeah, like obviously they didn't. So I think that may be the next fight for BSD once he gets through this. Look, common sense suggests that he does get the job done. Coming up against a short notice opponent. And look, crazy things have happened, and this is the fight business. All it takes is one shot to land in the right spot at the right time. But yeah, man, I'm sort of going with BSD on this one. Yeah,
I feel like he's had quite a few backs, and I feel like yeah, he's captured his moment. Main card opener,
yeah,
he has to deliver
yeah,
in this one. Montreal, Quebec, as well, a large French sort of
yeah. French
um,
contingency, a large
yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, with you on that one. So yeah, let's to recap. My picks are JDM, Valentina Shevchenko, King of Rio, Jose Aldo, Alexa Grasso, and BSD.
Yep,
Um,
mine are
yeah,
JDM as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Shevchenko, Zahabi,
yeah.
Grasso, and
Yeah.
Saint-Denis. So
We just split
we
on
uh we
just split on one. Yeah,
yeah, we differ on the other one, which is I think we did last, and I picked Aldo and you didn't. Now you've
I
picked Aldo
didn't.
and
I picked
I
Aldo.
haven't.
Yeah, I've taken your advice and I picked
Yeah,
Aldo.
maybe the luck of Aldo will just continue to roll.
Let's see. Let's see, man. Like, I mean, he still looked good in the last one. He just got held against the cage, held against his will. Right. Like any other fights that are sort of jumping at you, there's some good names there, man. Andrade's fighting Jastavikas. We got Mark Andre Barud. Did he say his name? Is another Canadian. Look, got some sick knockouts in his fight. Bruno Silva, who's another sort of exciting fighter. Malott, I think that name jumps up because he was the next big thing to come out of Canada. I think he had a small setback against. Man, what am I doing with my names today? What's his name? Oh my god, he fought Ian Gary, he fought Jeff Neal. Damn man, like I'm doing really bad with names here. Uh,
Uh,
I think something's happened to me. Like, uh,
that's all right. You're low on sleep, so
yeah,
but
a
yeah,
bit.
definitely big Canadian. I'm glad they filled it with a lot of
Yeah,
local talent.
yeah,
To your
yeah,
question, yeah, Kudalaba,
yeah.
the
Another big name, 100%.
Bakauskas is going to be a
Yeah,
banger, I think.
that's gonna be a banger, 100%, man.
And yeah, Malott Radke
Yeah,
is one I'm really looking at, and also the Kiwi Sterling, Sterling versus Erslan, um,
Erzlan, yeah.
Croatian, I
I
think.
think Erzlan's coming off of a knockout win, and then Sterling's been pretty good as well. So that's a great fight to start the card. And the name that kept slipping my mind when Malott fought Neil Magny. How am I forgetting this popular fighter, Neil Magny? Yeah, so that was just that one upset that he had, or you can call like a hiccup on his in his rise to sort of being that the next name out of Canada. So now he's coming back. He's fighting Charles Radke, who's a very interesting character as well. Like his post fight interviews have been insanely entertaining. So and he's had some crazy knockouts himself, man. Like so, yeah, it's a pretty good fight. Overall, good card. I mean, we'll rate the card after the it's taken place, but man, like yeah, we could be sort of depending on how the main event goes on Sunday. You know, we will be in high spirits.
Yeah, I think it has the potential of being an 8 out of 10. It's a
Yeah,
little
absolutely.
shallow
Hmm.
for a pay per view.
Yeah,
Obviously, the co-main and the main are quite strong.
yeah,
Outside of that, I think yeah, the rest of the main cards not that
yeah,
strong. But look, considering it's outside of the US, you got to
yeah,
always factor in, some of the fighters for
yeah, yeah.
all various reasons. Obviously, you got some tensions as well.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, traveling tax purposes as well,
Okay.
crossing the borders, etc. But yeah, great to see Aldo on it, Grasso, some international uh, talent. Um,
Some big names too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, prelims not too bad. But yeah, it's all eyes are going to be on the main and the co-main. Now let's hope the main delivers.
yeah,
And yeah, it's going to be a banger. I think Jack. Hopefully, we're both rooting for him.
yeah.
Some fresh talent as the champ. Um, how are we looking for the next pay per view, DJ? Is it International Fight Week,
No,
June,
there's
or
three. There's
is
316, right? 316 first. That you man, you. I don't know if you can read minds, but I was searching up UFC 316 as you brought that up. Yeah, that's the one in where is it happening? Prudential Center. Is that in that's where is that? You're the man with the Newark, New Jersey. Yeah, yeah. We got the Marab Sean O'Malley rematch. You know, A lot of people were surprised that Sean got the shots immediate an immediate rematch. Then again, man, he's a big star. So like at the end of the day, like we said before, it is also a business. Let's not forget that we got the big core main actually, like Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Everyone's saying Kayla is that championship material. It's just only a matter of time before she grabs hold of that title. So we'll wait and see, and that'll pay way to the one of the biggest women's MMA fights, which is Harrison versus Maddalena. So we'll have to wait and see. I think they're still building the card. There's some fights that are there's a few fights that I think will be added. So as it stands, it's just not as stacked, but we'll see.
Yep. Yeah, that is it. We'll recap and grade the pay-per-view card. DJ, I like your T, definitely.
John Bones Jones, we just need to fight.
That's right. Like as we said in the pod, there's a few things holding things up, but obviously
Yeah,
in UFC fashion, there has a tendency to all of a sudden be, a flurry of announcements. We get,
yeah.
obviously later in the year, November,
Mm.
December, there's going to be, they've got to try to fill. Well, there'll be Australia. Won't there be another Australian one? September, October, usually Sydney.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. They had one last time, didn't they? September. Yeah, man, we
yeah, I
got to
think
make it to one of these. We've just been too far.
they've agreed, I think, on another one this year, at least the fight night. But
Yeah, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
they've moved away from the Apex, it seems, so they are doing a lot more
a lot
fight
more on the
nights on
road.
the road,
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah,
making more money. Um, but yeah, definitely MSG is one of my favorites of the year.
yeah, man.
But yeah, we'll
Hey,
definitely get Jones. I think we'll get Jones announced pretty soon. It seems to be 80-90% done. Um,
yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna call it early and say like John Jones versus Aspinall will take place at MSG. It'll be in that November card. That's my
yeah,
take. Yeah,
yeah, no, definitely probably right. Otherwise, El
yeah,
Saudi will get it,
yeah, yeah. True.
um, because Aspinall's an international
Yeah.
guy. But yeah, we'll see.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll talk soon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Um, and let's talk soon. Peace.